Last month, Iran announced a sweeping migration plan. It will gradually switch positioning services in key areas, such as domestic transportation, agriculture, and the Internet of Things, from the US-led GPS system to China's BeiDou navigation system. At the same time, Iranian officials admitted that deliberate GPS interference has been implemented for security reasons and that the long-term goal is to reduce reliance on GPS, with the possibility of restricting or even disabling GPS access inside the country. Why make such a decisive move now? According to Iranian Deputy Minister Ehsan Chitsaz, Tehran believes BeiDou is technologically more advanced and precise, while also being fully controlled by China. Unlike GPS, owned and managed by the US government, which has historically weaponized it for strategic purposes, BeiDou represents an independent alternative. For Iran, this independence is synonymous with security and sovereignty. But the crucial question remains, can BeiDou truly replace the US GPS? The origins of GPS date back to the Cold War in the 1970s, when the US and the Soviet Union competed for supremacy. To secure military advantage and improve precision strikes, the US developed what many call the greatest navigation program in human history, GPS. The system was designed with 24 satellites across 3 orbital planes, covering 98% of Earth's surface and delivering positioning, speed measurement, and time services. Over decades of refinement, GPS grew from a military asset into a civilian necessity. Today, it underpins railway scheduling, air and sea navigation, earthquake monitoring, sports, environmental studies, and even the global financial system. Because of its accuracy and reliability, GPS has become the backbone of global navigation. Billions of devices worldwide are GNSS-enabled and rely heavily on GPS, making it one of the most widely used systems on Earth. However, this dominance also creates vulnerability. Since GPS is deeply embedded in critical sectors, military, transportation, finance, communications, the US effectively controls the lifeline of many countries. Under normal conditions, this is not an issue. But in a crisis, Washington retains the ability to deny or degrade services in specific regions. In practice, that could mean blinding an adversary's troops by weakening GPS signals in a war zone. Missiles could lose guidance, aircraft lose routes, and naval fleets lose navigation. Civilian infrastructure could also be disrupted. Passenger flights diverted, supply chains broken, or financial trades destabilized by timing errors. For a modern nation, such strikes would be crippling. This is not theoretical. During the Iraq War in 2003, the US limited GPS availability in and around the conflict zone to prevent hostile use. Reports indicated that Iraqi forces were unable to rely on GPS for operations. Some weapons systems lost accuracy due to restricted signals, underscoring Washington's ability to wield GPS as a tool of war. The lesson was not lost on others. Like many countries, China relied heavily on GPS in the 20th century, until the 1993 Yinhe Incident. That year, a Chinese merchant ship bound for Iran was accused by the US of carrying chemical weapon materials. After an intrusive inspection found nothing, the US nonetheless cut off its GPS access. Stranded in international waters and refused entry to ports, the ship drifted for about 24 days before diplomatic pressure forced Washington to relent. This humiliation convinced China that entrusting its national security to foreign-controlled systems was unsustainable. As early as 1994, China launched its BeiDou project. Progress was slow at first. Western countries blocked access to key technologies, and China's own capabilities were limited. Yet Beijing persisted. By 2003, it had placed 5 satellites in geostationary orbit, marking the first phase of BeiDou. Meanwhile, Europe launched its Galileo project and invited China to participate. Hoping to gain access to advanced know-how, China invested over €270 million. But under US influence, Europe restricted Chinese access to core technologies and excluded it from key decision-making. Rather than accept exclusion, China doubled down on independent development. In 2007, it launched its first BeiDou 2 satellite. Within 5 years, China had completed a 14-satellite network covering the Asia-Pacific. In stark contrast, Galileo was plagued by internal disputes and delays. By July 2020, China had launched more than 55 satellites, officially declared BeiDou, 3 operational, and secured adoption into 11 international standard systems, including aviation, maritime, and telecommunications. Iran is now following a similar path of self-reliance. In July, it declared that it would begin transitioning from GPS to BeiDou. For over 2 decades, Iran had used GPS in military operations, transport, agriculture, and IoT. But repeated experiences exposed the dangers of reliance. In June, during a 12-day confrontation with Israel, Iranian forces faced severe navigation failures. Drones went astray midair, missiles veered off course, and operational efficiency collapsed. Iranian authorities later confirmed that GPS signals near its territory had been repeatedly disrupted. Civilian ships also reported losing GPS navigation. Adding to the alarm, since 2020 several Iranian nuclear scientists and senior commanders have been assassinated. Investigations found a common link: GPS-enabled devices, which allowed adversaries to track their movements in real time. Iran once assumed GPS would not be arbitrarily denied absent full-scale war with the US or Israel. But these repeated shocks made clear that Western-controlled technology is a liability. Hence Tehran's move to seek independence. Among available options, BeiDou, with its proven capacity and political reliability, became the obvious choice. So how does BeiDou measure up against GPS? BeiDou today maintains over 50 satellites in orbit, compared to GPS's typical 31. China has invested more than $9 billion to build a global constellation that is fully autonomous and under national control. By 2020, BeiDou 3 was complete. As of now, hundreds of millions of smartphones, vehicles, and professional devices worldwide integrate BeiDou alongside other GNSS. Official white papers and media reports suggest that over 100 countries cooperate or make use of BeiDou-enabled infrastructure. Its economic contribution to China alone is measured in the hundreds of billions of RMB. In terms of capability, BeiDou matches or exceeds GPS in several areas. Civilian users of both systems typically receive meter-level accuracy. But with augmentation services such as PPP and RTK, BeiDou can deliver positioning at the decimeter to centimeter level. Its timing accuracy is within tens of nanoseconds, critical for finance, energy, and telecom sectors. BeiDou also provides unique services. Its short message function allows direct transmission of text and location data even without internet connectivity. This feature is particularly valuable in mountainous regions, oceans, or areas with poor infrastructure. Militarily, BeiDou's value has been noted abroad. Pakistan, for instance, has strengthened its cooperation with China and integrated BeiDou for both civilian and defense applications. While combat outcomes cannot be solely attributed to navigation systems, the adoption illustrates the strategic importance of having alternatives to GPS. Equally important is the geopolitical trust factor. While the US has imposed severe sanctions on Iran, China has remained its largest oil buyer, accounting for close to 90% of exports. In 2021, the two nations signed a 25-year strategic cooperation agreement worth up to $400 billion, covering energy, infrastructure, finance, healthcare, and transport. With such long-term alignment, Beijing has no incentive to deny BeiDou services to Iran. In fact, Iran is not the first Middle Eastern country to embrace BeiDou. Saudi Arabia has already expanded BeiDou use in ports, and the UAE has equipped fishing fleets with BeiDou terminals. Across Africa, more than 30 countries host monitoring stations. Globally, BeiDou has become a key component of multi-GNSS systems, and its footprint continues to expand. For Iran, switching to BeiDou is not just about accuracy or technical features. It is a matter of sovereignty, removing a strategic vulnerability from the hands of a rival. And as more countries adopt BeiDou, the balance of global navigation power may gradually shift away from US dominance. In the end, Iran's decision to move away from GPS and embrace China's BeiDou reflects more than a technological choice. It is a statement of independence, trust, and strategic realignment. The title of today's discussion is no exaggeration. Iran is indeed preparing to fully abandon US GPS and turn to China's self-developed BeiDou navigation system. Now the question is, as technology, politics, and security intertwine, will more countries follow Iran's path and choose BeiDou over GPS? What do you think? Will BeiDou truly challenge GPS as the world's preferred navigation system? Share your thoughts in the comments below.